LG G6 6 months later, that's coming up right now. Let's go. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to the LG G6 6 months later review experience video. Now, the reason I'm excited to make this one here is because the G6 has come down heavily in the price point. As a matter of fact, you can get the G6 Plus, which basically has more storage, for $449 on Black Friday. That's an incredible deal for what you're getting in this smartphone. And this potentially offers, more than the OnePlus 5T. We'll talk about which features it does, and that phone is more than the LG G6. So let's begin by talking about the body, the build, and the design. All right, so I want to begin by talking about the LG G6's body, the build, and the design. So first of all, this is a far cry from previous LG devices. In my past 6 months using this, it's felt nothing like prior LG phones, and it actually feels very premium here. Glass back on the rear, glass on the front, and it does have metal along the edges and the sides. So it's right in line with iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus, Galaxy S8, all those phones when it comes to the feel in the hand. Now, the back of it is kind of smooth. It's, kind of slimy when you get grease on your hands and you touch this phone. So if you want more grip, you might want a case for this device. But overall, because of the flat sides on this device, it's very easy to grip this phone and not feel like you're going to drop it. So it's not a slippery phone in my experience. Now, if you are juggling things in one hand and you're juggling this phone, any phone becomes slippery in that case. But the lightness, the one-handed feel of this device over my past 6 months has been incredible. I really like how light it feels in the hand, and the LG G6 has been one of my favorite phones of the year when it comes to the comfort factor of being a larger device and holding it in one hand. Even more so than the iPhone X, which weighs 174 grams versus like 165 grams here on the G6. So the G6, while a slightly taller phone, it feels more comfortable in the hand than the iPhone X, because this phone is heavier than the LG G6. I like a light phone, that's just me. So overall, 6 months on, the body, the build, and design, premium gadget here. One thing I do want to mention is that the fingerprint does tend to get a little bit scratched up. I'm not sure if you could see it right there. Also, the lens on the rear, these lenses do get scratched up here. It's not going to affect the camera quality, but it will get scratched up. So you might want a case for this phone if you're worried about little hairline scratches that you can only see in certain lights. So let's talk about the display on the G6. 18:9 aspect ratio. However, YouTube has been updated to fit the full screen when you are watching a video, so there's no really issues with this anymore. The apps fit pretty well here on Android. They are designed to stretch on most of the applications. Let's watch my previous video. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So when the G6 first launched, there was black bars here. And let me turn it down a little bit. That's the iPhone X camera review, most detailed camera review. Go check it out. But you can scroll in like this or zoom in like that, and you can see you get the full vision now on the LG G6. So this black bar issue is no longer a thing here for this smartphone, and it's very enjoyable, this display. LCD, over 500 pixels per inch, and to be honest with you, this display looks very similar to the one on my Retina MacBook. The way it's calibrated, the way it looks, like the whites, they look very similar to the MacBook Pro. LCD panel, just like a MacBook Pro. So that's the closest I can say this display looks like. It doesn't get the brightest outdoors, just like a MacBook Pro, but it definitely is a very sharp display. So if you love reading on your device, this is going to be one of the most comfortable reading devices I think you can buy, with a tall display, the light body, and the LCD, which is not too zingy on the colors and punchy, which is kind of distracting. You want to watch media more with an OLED panel. I think it's going to be a great reading device. Very good screen overall here. No complaints there when it comes to the G6. So what about that software? Yes, I do have Nova Launch on here if you haven't noticed already. The software has been a complaint for a lot of people with LG devices, and myself included. I don't think it's the best in the world when it comes to the software, but it works. What that means is that it's not laggy. There's not an issue with that. You do have the ability to have a home and app drawer or just a full home screen here on the G6, and some can say their icons look a little cartoonish. They don't look as polished as some other operating systems, but to me, the LG G6's software is just fine. It works. You got theme store. You got the ability to go ahead and change up the widgets on any screen, go to home screen. You do have the ability to use different swipe effects. So there's a lot you can do with their software, even though it might not be your favorite cup of tea when it comes to the looks. But at the end of the day, to me, the LG G6 doesn't have the best looking software, but one of the more functional ones on the market. It actually lags much less and twitches much less than I've seen on Samsung devices. Although some people like the more, heavy feature set of Samsung devices. Over 6 months though, software has been solid, no lag, great RAM management as well. All right, so let's talk about the performance, the Snapdragon 821. This is the reason why a lot of people are like, forget the LG G6. I can't believe in 2017, they put last year's processor, which was actually one of the best processors of 2016. It was featured in the Google Pixel, as well as the Pixel XL. No performance issues at all. The technology behind the Snapdragon 821 was in its 3rd generation, so it was a refined processor. The Snapdragon 835, while it is a little bit quicker, just a little bit, you're not gonna notice it that much in the day-to-day use. It's in its 1st generation of the technology behind that processor. So, it's very small in the real world use between using a Snapdragon 821 and an 835. I don't care what anyone says. If you guys use an LG G6 or use an S8, some people are going to think even the G6 feels smoother. So this is a thing that I really think that, LG, got a lot of slack for, but it's not really a big deal, to be honest with you, considering all that you're getting around this phone and the total package. That's one of the downsides for a lot of people, but it's just really a spec, because day to day, the experience of using this phone, you will forget that you're using a Snapdragon 821. It's got 4 gigabytes of RAM in here, so RAM management is solid on this device. Now, for the most part of this review, I've been pretty, positively speaking about the LG G6, but I'm gonna give it its slack where it's due. This thing right here, 73% on the battery. The battery life overall is not fantastic for the G6. It's been one of my biggest letdowns of this smartphone, and one of the reasons why I don't use it every single day as a daily driver. It's just the battery life. It just doesn't cut it for me on the LG G6. Now, in this video, it's not going to go down that much because we're not doing nothing intensive, but using it, in everyday app to app, this phone is not an all-day phone in my experience. Most people will be needing a charger around 6 to 7 p.m. This reminds me a lot of like an iPhone 7's battery life, the smaller device of the iPhone series. If you know what those are like, this is very similar to that in the battery life. Also smaller, other smaller battery life phones. So with a 3300 milliamp hour cell on this guy, it's kind of like, really, why is this battery needs to be charged in the middle of the day? Now, if you're a light user, don't get me wrong, you're getting through the day easily with the G6. But I think the way most people use their phone pretty much all day long, off and on, you're gonna need some, juice to get you through the day. This does support wireless charging, but not fast wireless charging. And this does support fast charging with a brick. So that's an upside though to the battery life. But I do have to mention, didn't like it overall in my past 6 months. Okay, so one area I need to talk about is the audio. Here's another area that it wasn't that great. It's nice to see we have USB-C here though. Audio coming out that one speaker, loud enough, to do speakerphone calls, to hear the music a little bit, covering it up really easily though. So it's easy to cover. It doesn't sound super crisp. And also this is the US model, so you don't get the high quality DAC in the headphone jack if you do go with a carrier model. Now, if you do get the unlocked one from the other side of the world, you should get that DAC built in, or the G6 Plus, I believe, has it as well. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. Overall though, audio not the best on this device. The cameras, however, are pretty amazing on the LG G6, especially in good lighting. However, you do have manual mode, one of the best in the industry when it comes to that camera, to tweak your photos. So let me go ahead and pull a lens in here so we can take a picture of something. This has an f1.8 aperture, so it's very easy to get really close on things and just look at the quality. It's fantastic here for the G6. Let's do a wide angle here, zoom stuff out, and that's a very useful feature if you do want to take, wide angle shots, which I think are much more useful than having like a portrait mode. I don't think people are utilizing portrait mode in the same way that they might utilize a wide angle photo. So you can see right there, it takes that wide angle shot. And also, if you want to go over here into the settings, you will be able to tweak a lot of stuff. If you go up to auto right here, you can go into manual video. Yes, manual video. You don't see that on a lot of smartphones at all. So the G6, while I think its lens and sensors don't quite beat the Galaxy S8 series, the Note 8, the iPhone 10, they're still really good. And if you do tweak the manual, you could get results that could potentially outdo some of those phones. So this is a camera for people who want to tweak their phone now, or their camera, software. Now let's talk about price before I wrap this experience up. The LG G6, the reason I even wanted to make this video and talk about it is because what is happening to its price? Its value has plummeted due to the market's response to it. And what I mean by that is that not a lot of people were, super interested in this phone. So there's really no other way, to sell these phones than to reduce the price of the phone. And look how low you can cop these phones now: $310, $280, $349. And don't get me wrong, the LG G6, depending on personal preference, might not be better than the $1,000 iPhone 10, but there are a lot of similarities. You have a tall display here, just like an iPhone 10. You have a sharper resolution than an iPhone 10. I don't care that it's OLED. The pixel per inch is sharper on the LG G6. You have NFC on here. No NFC on here that you can use right away. I mean, you could use it with like Apple Pay, but you can't use it like to tap to, use headphones and stuff like that, or other gadgets. No notch on this phone. Who knows how you feel about the notch? What I'm trying to demonstrate here is that if you want a phone that feels up to date and gives you a lot for really low money, even lower than some of the, new OnePlus 5T, less than the Razer phone, less than the Google Pixel, this is a fantastic value to cop here late 2017. If you do buy this too, you do get expandable storage up to 2 terabytes. So this supports the future of SD cards. If you plan on keeping this for a while, when they come out with larger SD cards, it supports it. Also waterproof up to 30 minutes, 1 meter. So that's my take on the LG G6. I know you can tell I'm positive about it. I'm mostly positive about it because you can get this for such a low price, and it offers pretty much what you're getting in the top tier phones in late 2017. Anyway, if you found this video helpful, enjoyable, informing, entertaining, go ahead and click the like button for me down below. And if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, feedback, let's chat about the LG G6 down below. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. I will catch you all in the next episode. Be sure to be well, and peace.